So if anyone remembers our Synology NAS, the DS1515 Plus on the floor here, this thing is still in its Franken NAS setup, and it's not for a good reason. But this product died on us, and we ended up buying this one next to me. It's better. I mean, it was an upgrade, but it was an upgrade that was forced and we didn't want because the other one failed. And so the reason the 1515 Plus on the floor failed, we don't 100% know, but it appears to be somewhat common because looking around online, as any of you would do when you experience a failure, it seems like it might be tied to a power issue or something like that, because going to an external power supply did fix our issues. We were able to run it just fine after that. But the issue essentially was that the power button no longer worked and it wouldn't turn on. And we have another one of those today. And that's the unfortunate reason I'm bringing you back to the Synology topic. Before that, this video is brought to you by the Gigabyte Z390 Aorus Master motherboard, which comes equipped with one of the more powerful Z390 VRMs for heavier overclocks on the new 9th gen Intel CPUs. The Aorus Master is also one of the few motherboards with a real heatsink this generation, featuring a mix of high surface area fins and looks-oriented cover blocks. Oh, and it's also got updated RGB illumination. Learn more at the link below. Okay, so for today, unfortunately, I recommended a Synology NAS to our distributor, the guy who handles all the shipping for store.gamersnexus.net. So you buy stuff from there, he ships it, and I recommended a Synology NAS to him before we had repeat issues with them, and now his has failed, and his was a newer model than ours. Ours is the 1515, I think his is an 18 model, so we're gonna check that out and see if we can troubleshoot the point of failure on it. But if not, in the very least, it appears that this is a somewhat common problem, even on the newer models of the Synology attached storage devices. So here's our distributor's NAS, and here's ours. The one on the left, well, they're both broken, but the one on the left is the most recently broken one, as indicated by the fact that pushing the power button, you should get a bunch of green lights, fans should start spinning, and it's not doing any of that, and it is plugged into the same power as all the lights. So this is having a similar issue to the one that ours had, where it's sporadic. Sometimes it'll boot up, sometimes it won't, and it just unplugging it and then plugging it back in after maybe a couple seconds. Every now and then it might boot, but obviously you shouldn't have to sit there and unplug it 1,000 times to get it to turn on. So this is, how old is this?
It's about 6 months, but the problem's been happening since I first got it, on and off.
So 6 months old, had the problem since the beginning, but this one, separate from our issue, has an external power brick, and ours is internal. I mean, as you can see, the motherboard, it's a custom form factor board, but it uses all ATX power headers, so you can plug in a normal power supply to it and force it to boot, which is good. But this one's external, which kind of leads us to wonder if it is a power issue. It might be a power board issue, could be a power brick issue, could be motherboard, could be the CPU, no idea what the problem is. But I guess the real concern here is that this is now 2 Synology NASes that affect us directly, and this one too. And looking online, it's also a pretty common problem. The other concerning thing is this is a different model. So it's not like it's the same one. This is a 918 Plus. We have another one here. I don't know. We could try plugging in the power adapter from the new one and just see if it always works. But Synology did fulfill the warranty for the broken one. Unfortunately, they send out refurbished units. So the question is kind of, I mean, you buy 6 months old, you kind of feel bad about getting a used one that probably has a bunch of like cat hair from someone else's home before it got refurbished. And also you don't know if it, I don't know, why did it get, I don't like getting a refurbished product as part of a warranty if it's so new. It's just old enough where you can't reasonably return it anywhere and get your money back and buy a brand new thing. So I'm just gonna plug in the power for, that's a Ethernet cable, for this one and see if this adapter fixes the problem, but I have a feeling it will not. Okay, so simple test, it doesn't turn on or not. The answer appears to be no. Yeah. So, yeah. So not turning on, which if it were as simple as power adapter failure, that would have solved it. But the fact that Synology sent out an entire new unit, refurbished unit as a replacement, does kind of indicate that, let's just make sure it's not a push and hold, does kind of indicate that there's a problem outside of the adapter. So I don't even know. At this point, I guess we'll transfer the data, of course, onto the new device, or transfer the drives. Fortunately, it's an easy process. So you remove the drives, you keep track of what order they're in, you can label them or something. Make sure they're in the exact same slot order. You have to boot the replacement NAS with a new drive, set it up through Disk Station Manager, swap the drives over, and then that's kind of it. It should work again. All the data's still there. It's not a painful migration process. It's just, you also shouldn't have to migrate. And a lot of businesses use these types of things. So you start introducing downtime, especially when you have to wait for RMAs. And I guess to their credit, it looks like they sent the new one before requiring the old one to be sent back. So that's good. But even still, downtime's not good. And this seems to be not a one-off failure. We don't know the RMA rates. We just did that RTX video and talked about how it might be overblown on the internet. If you kind of look at all the comments online, it sounds like this is a really common issue, but we also have no idea how common it truly is. So what we're going to do is transfer the data, of course, transfer the drives. But I think internally what we want to do is start testing a different brand for the NAS, just because I'm kind of worried about our larger one that's in use now failing, because this one for us failed in about 6 months, something like that, maybe not quite a year. So the other one's getting to be about that old. And we're going to check out, I think, an Asus Tor NAS, which we actually have, so we can grab that. So here's one that we got in recently that we need to do some kind of review or something with, because we want to use this internally. It's a much simpler NAS. It's not as good as the one that we bought, the high-end one in there. That's, I don't know, that was like $1,000 or something. But this is a $400 NAS, and it's about the same type of NAS as this old one we used, and we want a secondary one as backup or as additional storage or as test storage. So we do need another NAS in service. And I think it's about, like I said, $400, but it includes a 10 gigabit connection. So that's important, because we use 10G internally, and our high-end NAS, the $1,000 one we bought, is, I don't know how this is wrapped. I don't want it to fall out. Okay. The high-end one has 10 gigabit, so we use that for the media server. This one's one gigabit, and I believe the broken one right here is also 1 gigabit. But we want to test this and see if it can actually handle the throughput it says it can. But this is an Asus Tor NAS, so it's AS404T. We talked about this one at Computex, and we're going to try it out because it's a cheaper model. But the thing is, clearly, paying more, look at RTX, paying more doesn't always mean you get something that works, as we just discussed. So if it's cheaper, but it doesn't fail, then that's fine. It might have slower throughput in some workloads. I'm not sure. We'll test it and find out. But I guess really my objective at this point is doesn't fail. And we'll, of course, also still be looking at building our own internal server. We have plans for that. We're just waiting on Silverstone to ship the right case for it. We really want to use their CS381 for that project. But this one we'll go through testing for now. And then as for the broken one we have on the table below, the 918, I guess this goes through the warranty process, gets sent back, and it doesn't appear to be a power brick issue. We don't really have a great way to validate that, but some other wider spread problem potentially. So I don't know. Public service announcement, just be careful with the Synology NASes, I guess. To Synology's credit, we emailed them when ours originally failed and asked for an expedited replacement because it's clearly in use for business. They had sent it to us as a media sample originally, and we asked them to replace it. Synology told us to file a ticket, and that just wasn't fast enough for us, so we bought a new one instead. In this instance, and also they did email us several times after we posted our first video, so clearly got some attention, but doesn't fix the issue. So anyway, that's it. It's a PSA about Synology NASes. If you have this problem, the good news is really they've made it pretty easy to transfer drives, hopefully unrelated to the failures, but all you have to do is put a new blank drive into the new unit in the box over here, and set up DSM, Disk Station Manage, their OS, and then swap the drivers over in the exact same order, plug it in, turn it on, and if it boots, then that should be pretty much it. You go through a setup process in DSM, and then that's it. It's done, all the data's still there. No major risk of losing stuff unless you install them out of order or don't follow the guides they have online. So they've made it easy to replace it. It's just that, again, you shouldn't have to do that. So that's it for this one. Not much here for you other than the PSA, and we'll keep you posted if this continues to be a problem, because 2 units of different models affecting 2 people who are linked directly is kind of astronomical enough chances that you do wonder how high the RMA rate really is. So check back for more, subscribe as always, go to store.gamersnexus.net to pick up stuff so the guy that owns this can ship it to you so that he can get a cut and afford replacements in the future, because it might happen again, we'll see. I'll see you all next time.